guys, Richard here with eBike Reviews and Adventures. In this video, we're going to be talking about a premium style versus a budget style commuter slash cruiser type of e-bike. So let's jump into it. All right, so to get this started here, we've got the Velotrek Breeze 1, which is a new model by Velotrek. And then over here we have the Maxfoot. This is the MF25. Both are similar in style, as you can see. They got similar body or frame styles, but there's some significant differences. One is this is over a $1,700 bike, and this one is $1,000 cheaper, and it comes in at $750. So clearly this will be our premium. This will be our budget bike for today. And what we want to do is we want you to, or try to help you understand some of the differences so you know which one might be best for you, whether you want to spend the extra money to get certain items or whether a more budget style bike fits your budget better and it's something that might work for you just fine. So let's get in. We're going to talk about some of the specific components. So as you can see, we're going to first start out looking at the Maxfoot frame. The frame is pretty typical. This is a step-through model. It's got some extra welding, extra support here to strengthen the frame. It's a little thinner right here than some fat tire type e-bikes. And you still have good support back here. This frame right here shoots down. It's got a bend in it right here and it shoots down. That allows for this rack to be attached. Over here on the Velotrek, you have a similar style frame, okay? You do have some extra material down here that's welded in to provide the support, but you got a little more step-through room going through. And as you can see back here, the frame style is a little bit different. It's just straight back here to the axle. Now, we don't have a rear rack on this today because we didn't receive one, but they do have it on the website. If you buy this particular bike, you will get a rack and fenders, just like the Maxfoot that has the rack and fenders already installed. Jumping back up here to the Maxfoot again, let's talk about some of the electrical components. This one has a 500 watt motor right back here in the rear, and it's got a 10.4 amp hour battery inside, whereas the Velotrek over here, it has a more powerful 750 watt motor and a slightly bigger battery at 13.4. Up here on the Maxfoot MF25, you'll notice that we do have suspension forks, and it does have a lockout, so you can lock it out completely if that's what you prefer. Also up here, you'll see that we have 180 millimeter disc brakes, but they're mechanical brakes. Whereas over here on the front of the Velotrek, you'll notice we have rigid forks, so there's no suspension at all. And if you turn it around right here, you'll see that we have 180 millimeter disc brakes, and we do have hydraulic brakes, so that would be a benefit there. So let's stop right there and compare these features just a little bit. Mechanical brakes is going to be lower cost than something you'd find that has hydraulic brakes for sure, but they still give you some really good adequate stopping power. Some people say that they don't notice a big difference, whereas me personally, when I'm riding something with a hydraulic brake system, I do notice better stopping power. I can stop faster. You don't have that long, slow drag trying to come to a complete stop like I have noticed on mechanical brakes. So that's definitely a plus. Another thing, let's go back to the suspension forks. If you're riding a commuter bike or a cruiser style bike and you're sticking to the hard surface, you're sticking to the roads in your neighborhood or the bike path through town or city streets, then having suspension forks isn't as big of a deal because you're on a smooth surface already. And that's what these bikes are designed to be. They're designed to be on the hard surface streets. That's why you also have nice thin tires. Whereas up here on the Maxfoot, even though this is a budget style bike, they still give you the suspension forks. So let's say your street is deteriorating a little bit and you hit a pothole or something, it's going to absorb that bump just a little bit better than the Velotrek over here. Now, talking a little bit about rider comfort, because we're up here talking about the saddles, one thing that I've noticed, and that is it doesn't matter if you have a premium bike or a more budget style bike, the saddles are often the same. They're pretty firm, okay? And after a while, they just get a little uncomfortable. Oftentimes, the saddle is kind of narrow also. So if you're planning on doing a lot of commuting or a lot of riding and you want to maximize your comfort, it doesn't really matter what style bike you get. You'll probably want to upgrade to an aftermarket style saddle that is a little wider. It's got a little more squish for your tush, right? And that's the same here with this budget bike. You know, it's the brown leather. You know, it's firm because it's probably got the gel inside there. And despite what some people think about gel on their saddles, the gel is still pretty solid, okay? It's pretty firm. It doesn't allow for a lot of give, especially if the material around that gel is pulled nice and tight. And that's the same here on this Velotric. It's pretty firm. And for a commuter style saddle or just any kind of riding, I prefer something that's got a wider saddle to provide more support for your backside. That relieves a lot of the pain. But one thing the MaxFoot over here does have an advantage of, and that is it came with a suspension seat post right here. So you've already got a little extra squish back here to make your ride a little more comfortable if you do hit those potholes we talked about. Whereas over here on the more premium brand, there is no suspension seat post at all, which is actually most common. It's kind of rare to find any e-bike off the shelf that has a suspension seat post. Normally that's an item that you would have to purchase as an additional upgrade after the fact. Next, let's go ahead and take a look at the cockpit area and talk about some of those components. So we'll come over here and again, we're going to start on the MaxFoot. We'll get this powered up here so you can see the display. But being that it's a budget bike, oftentimes you'll find these really smaller displays, because they are cheaper to build, it's cheaper to put on the bike. But, in the case of MaxFoot here, it is still color. You can see all the information just fine. And the buttons are fairly easy to get to when you need to change your pass level. So I like that, that's fine. Of course, we already talked about the mechanical brakes. And they have this plasticky kind of... Now, one thing you'll notice about the Velotric right away is you have a much larger display. Very nice display. Again, it's got some color tones in it, but it's got a lot of different information laid out, but the screen is bigger, so it's easier to see, and it's right here in the center, which is most common on most e-bikes. It'd be right here in the center for you to get to. Over here on the left side, we still have a really nice handle grip that's more of a rubber material with a small bump out. Now, one thing you'll notice about the Velotric right away is you have a much larger display. Very nice display. Again, it's got some color tones in it, but it's got a lot of different information laid out, but the screen is bigger, so it's easier to see, and it's right here in the center, which is most common on most e-bikes. It'd be right here in the center for you to get to. Over here on the left side, we still have a really nice handle grip that's more of a rubber material with a small bump out for your palm. Again, we have the hydraulic brakes. Well, one of the things that are different is this really nice button pad here. Because on here, you've got your power button up here on the top. This bike comes equipped with blinkers, so you got left and right, and I'll apply those now. It's got an indicator over here on the dash, and it's got the beeping sound. Turn that off. We have our mode button right here to toggle between the different modes. And then we have really large up and down pass buttons so we can change the pass levels. And we also have a left-handed thumb throttle over here, which is real nice and smooth. Moving on across the top, this bike is set up a little bit different. So we do have a headlight up here on the handlebars, whereas most e-bikes have them like the MaxFoot up there. The headlight is down near the front tire. So that is there. Moving over, we still have a bell right here. And this is an 8-speed bike, but this one has the upgraded finger shifters, which I prefer. So you change gears by manipulating the paddles on the front or with your finger or with your thumb. And I really like that style of riding. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of differences in the level of components that you get with a more premium style bike versus a budget style bike. They're going to have to keep the cost down to make it a budget, make it more affordable for more people. And so you're going to have those cheaper components. Now, there's another important factor or important difference between these two particular bikes right here. And that is going back over here to the Velotric. The Velotric is UL certified. And this has a sticker right here that indicates that it is UL certified with a certification number. They've also got a nice little UL certified emblem right here to point out the fact that it's UL certified. Whereas over here on the MaxFoot, as typical with a lot of e-bikes, they typically don't have UL certifications. Now, what they may have is they'll say that it is tested to UL standards. A lot of these bikes are made in China, so they use a Chinese laboratory to test them. And they use the same standards as UL, but it's not quite the same, right? So you don't get that UL sticker saying, hey, this bike has been thoroughly tested. So you have to watch out for that on their website, on any bike brand that you intend to buy. Another significant difference with the Velotric, and that is getting back up here to the display, you can change, this has a switchable sensor, so you can change between torque sensor and cadence sensor. And right now it's in cadence mode. So if I push and hold the mode button, you're going to get into the menu, and you can go right here and select sensor swap, and it allows you to change over to the torque sensor. And that is like a really cool feature. You can get back out of it. Now, When you're actually riding the bike, all you have to do is push and hold the mode button, and it's going to automatically make that switch for you. You don't have to go through the menu, and that's a really nice feature. Whereas over here on the MaxFoot, this is a cadence sensor bike, and you don't have that option to switch between the two sensors. So torque sensors are always going to be more expensive. Plus, when you have a sensor that is switchable, like this one over here, that's also going to be more expensive. So now we're at the part of the video of, okay, Richard, you talked about both bikes and some of the differences between the two, but you know, which one is the better value? Here's the thing, when you're out shopping for an e-bike, okay, you might go out and spend a lot of money on an e-bike, but not get the value because it's just not built very well or it doesn't have those components. So when we're talking about price, you also want to consider the value of the bike. What are you actually getting for the money that you're spending? For what you're getting over here on this bike right here for $750, it's still a good value for the money you're spending. Yes, it has these cheaper components on it. Like we said, the intent is to keep the overall cost down for folks that can't afford something like the Velotric over here, which is a $1,700 bike. So I would say, yes, this is a good value for what you're getting and what you're spending. Over here on the Velotric, you're spending a lot more, but you're also getting a lot more because this bike offers a lot better components, the switchable sensor, slightly bigger battery, bigger motor. We didn't show you this one, the blinkers on this one and the brake lights are actually built into the frame right here. And I'll point that out real quick. So even though we don't have a fender, even though we don't have a rack on here, we still have brake lights and blinkers. So considering all those points, this is still a good value in my opinion for a commuter style bike that is well built by a company that is well known with these upgraded components. It really comes down to what can you afford? Where's your budget? $750 or 17 plus for something like this over here. Hey, I hope this video has been helpful to you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helps you understand some of the differences between a lower cost bike versus a more premium style bike. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, comment down below. I'm going to see you in another video real soon. Ride responsibly, ride safe.